Hey, it's Carrington with K&K Gaming Indie Corner. I'm sure I still messed it up because it's still new.
Right, K&K Indie Gaming Corner.
K&K's Gaming Indie Corner, baby.
Indie Gaming Corner.
K&K's Indie Gaming Corner. Let's go.
We'll get it down eventually.
We'll get it. It's just so hard for me at the moment to not say RDP or Reduce Podcast.
I know.
So I just I just got to get used to it. That's all.
It's all right, man. It's all right. RDP does roll right off the tongue.
It really does. It really does. How are you today, Kyle?
Doing good. I'm ready to get into our gaming that we are going to be discussing and some other topics, especially one that there's a specific tweet that I want to talk about that you brought to my attention. So
yes, sir. All right, let's just jump into it. It's going to sound a little different today and look different for those of you on YouTube watching the video portion. I'm in Flowrida, so I'm just working with what I got: a Chromebook and a headset. So let's get into it. So we are talking first about Soundfall, which is an indie game from Drastic Games. It is a fast-paced, music-based dungeon crawler that combines looter shooter action with rhythm-based gameplay to create a world of music unlike any other. You can get it right now on Switch, PS4, Xbox Series X, and PC. Kyle, there was a Nintendo Indie Direct, a couple weeks ago, and one of them one of the games showcased was Soundfall, and surprisingly, at the end of the trailer, the end of the bit for Soundfall, they were like, it's available right now. And you and I were like, this is right up our alley. Let's go. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what were your thoughts, your impressions of Soundfall?
When I saw the trailer of it, I thought, man, this game looks pretty awesome. Looks really cool. And then whenever you said, it was mentioned to be released, it was released that day. I was like, dude, this is perfect. This game looks incredible. Let's pick it up and start playing it. Growing up, my games that really I have great memories of playing, especially with friends, were like Champions of Norath, Champions Return to Arms, Baldur's Gate, those top-down action RPG style games. And this game fits in that genre. Of course, it's not fantasy related as far as Lord of the Rings-esque, but it is. It's an action RPG with a twist. And the twist is that your moves in the game, your dashing, your attacks, are based off the rhythm of the songs that are playing in the level. And that is such a unique and original idea for a genre that has been around for such a long time. And when I saw that, I thought, man, we have definitely got to try this out. Definitely an original idea. What about you? What were your thoughts on it?
So rhythm-based games usually are from, and I'm going to just drop a name here. Yeah. It's another indie dev, Harmonix. Yeah. Like your Rock Band, Guitar Hero. They have a couple of other rhythm-based games out there as well, and I feel like that they do it really well. But other developers tend to stay away from rhythm-based games for whatever reason. And so when I saw it, I'm like, I have to play this because the rhythm-based genre, there's just not a whole lot out there. If you like music, if you like just rhythm-based games in general, and I love this game. I will say, if you don't have rhythm, it's going to be very hard for you to play this game.
Yes.
Because for you to do anything other than move, for you to shoot, which is what you're doing basically, you're just shooting enemies most of the time. You have to do it within the beat of the music, and if you don't have rhythm, you're just not going to. Even if there is a visual cue, not just an audio cue, basically, I guess, if you can catch the beat, there's an audio cue. So if you are not a rhythm-based person, you can go by what you see on screen.
But still, called the metronome on the screen, I believe.
Yeah. And if you still have a hard time with that, I don't know what to tell you, but but I had a ton of fun with this game. This game, I wasn't too engrossed with the story, but I love the animated cutscenes. I thought they were beautifully done, and the music.
Yes,
is fantastic. And it's all, some of it's original, but a lot of it is licensed indie music, which I thought was even cooler.
Yeah. And to vocalize on that, the basic story is you are this girl that gets sucked into this other dimension, per se, other type of universe, where you are at this overworld, much like Mario World style type of gameplay, and this enemy is taking over this world. They're called Discordians. And you are to fight off the Discordians. And each section of this overworld is a genre of music. So you got subworlds within each part, and it's all a particular genre of music. So the first one's like techno, second one's rock and roll, I think the third one's classical, and so on. And they're all, like Carrington said, they're all indie. Some are original, the others are from indie artists. And each song is different. I found there were songs that I loved. There's other songs that I was rushing to get through the levels so they could be over with. But it was a very fun take on the game. With that said, I was not impressed with the enemy, the variety of enemies. Yeah. I didn't really. It was weak.
Yeah. I do get that. What it did lack in enemy design, it did make up for in the looting based stuff, like all the weapons and stuff, all the variety of weapons and such. So in a way, it does make up for it. Because I was like, this is kind of like if Borderlands was rhythm based. You have to shoot to the beat, just because there was a whole looting aspect.
There was a lot of looting in it.
Yes, there is. So, and the music, there's a tons of music in the game too. And one that shocked me was Frank Clepaki. For those of you who don't know who he is the composer for the Command & Conquer games, and we're talking Command & Conquer, Red Alert, Tiberian Sun. He did them all.
Stuff you grew up on.
What's that?
The stuff that you grew up on.
The stuff that I grew up on.
Yeah.
This composer, because he has a band outside of the Command & Conquer stuff, and so his songs and his band, his original stuff, is in the game. So I'm like, I would love to speak to the developers to figure out how they got his music in the game, like how that whole process went. I thought that was so cool. But yeah, the enemy designs, there's just your basic. You got your little grunts or whatever. You got a couple tanky ones, and just some weird ones that outside of that you see every once in a while, and that's pretty much it. So you're right, there wasn't a whole lot there.
A lot of variety. There was a lot of variety in loot. I appreciated the weapons being instrument themed weapons. Very cool. And the game itself definitely, as you progress, ramped up in difficulty. And at least for me, and I noticed that I had an opportunity to play couch co-op with a buddy.
Okay. And I was wondering how that was, because I didn't get a chance to do that.
I couldn't tell if the difficulty in the couch co-op went up significantly, or if it was the fact that we were playing a rhythm-based game and I keep hearing my controller vibrate and his controller vibrate, and as the controllers are vibrating and we're both trying to mash buttons and we're missing our beat. Like, I'm wondering if that kind of played a role into us getting killed so much. Because I feel like whenever I heard him mash buttons, I was trying to mash buttons, in unison with him, and it definitely threw us off. We had a pretty difficult time getting through 2 levels together in the game. Not the first 2 levels. We jumped in kind of in the middle of the game, but still, it felt a little off.
Sure. I do wonder that, because a game I do kind of want to compare it to is Crypt of the Necrodancer, or its side game Cadence of Hyrule, because they're both the same game, same developer, where even to move and attack had to be done, was all rhythm based. And the same thing, I didn't get a chance to play Soundfall with co-op, but with Cadence of Hyrule, I did, and I ran into that same exact issue. So I do wonder if playing just with another person just makes it harder, because you're doing a whole lot anyway.
And if it's that couch co-op, or because it has online co-op as well, and again, another game that has online co-op that we are discussing that we didn't play online together.
Sadly,
but also I played on Switch. I don't know if did you play on Switch?
I did not. I actually played on PC, and I
Okay.
did it because you can actually import custom songs into the PC version, and I tested that out, and it works surprisingly really well.
That's an added bonus.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
And by the way, for everyone out there listening, it is not cross-play at all, unless you're talking like Xbox One to Xbox Series X or PS4 to PS5. It's cross-generational, yeah. It's just not cross-platform.
Yeah. So, I enjoyed my time with the game.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated the looting. I'm glad you brought that up because that is something that I really, the end of each level you get a chest,
Mm-hmm.
and you get some pretty cool loot. I thought the story was a little weak, and I thought the enemies were a little weak. The variety, and for me, like those games, you have to have a good variety of enemies because you're fighting them, and it gets pretty repetitious after a while.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said because that's, and I will say, like playing by myself, it is, if for those of you out there who maybe have work and kids and family and life and all that stuff, it's really easy to pick up for 5-10 minutes, drop it, because a level might take 3 to 5 minutes at the most, or you can sit there and play for hours, because my first session was a good 2 hours, and then after that I was just picking it up, here and there kind of thing.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was. If I had to rate this game, I would give it a 7 out of 10.
I was going to go a little bit higher and say a 7.5 out of 10. I do really enjoy this game. It's kind of hard to recommend if you're not used to having any kind of rhythm. If you're not
it's a very niche. I would feel like if you're looking for something different, if you do like dungeon-esque crawlers, action RPGs, if you like looting, and if you like Guitar Hero, then this game might just be for you. Like I said, it's got a great soundtrack. It's a pretty game. It's visually it's gorgeous, it's a good looking game. It's and
the cutscenes are hand drawn animated, which is, and they are glorious. That was another reason why I had to pick it up, because I just don't feel like we see enough hand drawn animation anymore.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. But it's like Carrington said, it's on Nintendo Switch, Xbox Series X, PS4, PS5, and I think Xbox One as well, and PC. I think it's basically on all platforms.
Yep. So if this is something that interests you and you're looking to get it, you have no excuse to not. So yeah, that's our review of Soundfall. Stay back, enjoy, relax, and we'll be right back.
Hey, listen!
And welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that lovely, lovely short break. We are back. Kyle, it is summer, and we don't have E3. However, we do have a couple other stuff going on that is just as big, just as great, and even better. Since we cover indie games, there are venues for indie games out there, such as the Tribeca Game Fest, which, if for those of you that know Tribeca, it's mostly like an indie film fest, but last year was the first year they showcased games, and they're doing it again this year. Kyle, what stands out to you at the Tribeca Game Fest?
There are, all the games look incredible, I think, but two in particular, obviously, to me, Cuphead, the delicious last course. If anyone's played Cuphead, you know how beautiful that game is. You know how rage-inducing that game is, and how much fun it is. My oldest will sit up with me at night and we'll play games, and one of them is Cuphead, and she loves watching the boss fights go down. So I'm excited to see more on this. There's another one, actually two more, Immortality. I'm not really sure I'm super excited about the game itself. I need to see more about it, but with that said, I think that we are on a rise of seeing FMV games coming back. Is that the way you pronounce it?
Yeah, they are FMV
video?
games, full motion video. Yeah, and
Okay.
I am here for it because I do miss it. I mean, a franchise that I mentioned earlier today is known for it, Command and Conquer. They stuck with it through the entire franchise, including in the late into the 2010s. But I mean, in recent years, I've seen a rise in them, and you know, I'm here for it. I do miss the genre. There's a niche for it for sure, and they're kind of cheesy, but they're fun to go through.
Will we get a sequel to Night Trap?
Please, video game gods, bless us with a Night Trap 2.
I don't know why I was literally about to call it Thirsty Trap, which I think would, but yeah, Night Trap.
Well, there is the game at the Tribeca Games Fest called Thirsty Suitors. Maybe that's what you were.
Well, I was, yeah. So maybe that's what it calls it. I was actually going to go into that. It looks like a very vibrant story-based skateboard game in a way, and it looks super cool. It's also published by what is her name's? What Remains of Edith Finch on Annapurna Interactive.
Yeah, Annapurna, yeah.
So if you know past Real Dudes, if you know me, What Remains of Edith Finch is one of my favorite games of all time. I don't know, it just set a certain way with me, and I play it, but probably once a year I'll play through it. And so anything that they support, I think at this point I support. So I'm excited to see more about Thirsty Suitors. Is there anything in particular that you're looking for? Anything that we didn't touch on?
I'm looking through the list now. I know A Plague Tale Requiem. I didn't play the first one, but I own it just like yourself, Kyle. And the fact that we're getting another one, I'm like, I have to go and play the first one just so I can see what the second one's about.
Yeah.
And also I noticed another sequel, which is Oxen Free Two, is also coming out, which I also own the first one, and I've never played it.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's another one of those things that's like, we're getting sequels to indie games, especially that, you know, I do own, and for just because of time I haven't played. So I'm excited to see what the sequels might bring. And it's, you know, it's because we are getting sequels, it's encouraged me to play the originals and be excited for the sequel as well.
I've got to say, I've always loved E3 every year. I'm sad that it's not again happening this year, but getting Summer Games Fest, which is like, I believe, a week long worth of gaming related news and just fun, probably gaming trailers and information on video games. I'm excited for this. And
absolutely,
I would love to do a post reaction discussion of it after that week's done. And I'm sure we'll probably, you know, keep up to date on Twitter, and just our thoughts will be put out there on Twitter, and maybe
as well as our Discord.
Maybe even some live streams we'll end up seeing. So
absolutely.
So I'm excited for that.
Speaking of Summer Games Fest, just real quick, you know, Netflix has a spot, so I'm hoping it's pretty decent and interesting, because Netflix does have a few games actually in Netflix itself, like Netflix the app, and I've played them. They're great. They're fantastic. Some are FMVs, some are trivia shows. They're fun. I hope it's more of that stuff, because what we have gotten on a console, like the Switch, which was, I think, Dark Crystal game, it was okay. So I hope it's less of that, more of the stuff that's available on the Netflix app. Yeah. So that's it. So Kyle, you and I, of course, we cover indie games, and we also encourage people to get Game Pass because of what it brings us. There have been a couple of tweets by some much bigger journalists out there, much bigger than you and I, that have said they've gotten, quote unquote, Game Pass burnouts. And Kotaku decided to write an article about it. And in that article, they talk about, hey, this is happening because Microsoft hasn't released enough AAA titles. And I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, you are correct. You're absolutely correct. but I'm still going to stick with Game Pass because of the amount of indie games that you and I get to play all the time. Not just because of this show, just in general. Like, there's just so much there that you would never hear about or play about or even just think about playing that's currently on Game Pass. Before I start listing some of those games off.
Good, you got the list.
Yeah, I do have a list.
Thank you. Because I was trying to look that up. I know there's a ton, but I don't know every one of them.
Right, because there's a lot on Game Pass. But the official Xbox Game Pass account,
thank you,
came back with a tweet, and I'm pretty sure we just witnessed a murder, and I'm just going to read it to you word for word. It says, "Tell me you limit yourself to only AAA games without telling me you limit yourself to only AAA games." I put this in our private chat. What did you think when you first saw this?
Mic drop.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that is so true. Like, there's so much more on Game Pass than just AAA titles. There are AAA titles on there. Fantastic. I'm not saying that I don't dislike AAA titles. I feel like they set a foundation for gaming in general. But there's so much more than just that on Game Pass. There's so many games out there that people don't know about that are incredible experiences that overshadow AAA titles. And I feel like that's why we're here to inform people, hey, you got to check these games out, because not every game is Forza, not every game is Halo, not every game is an Elder Scroll game, not every game is, this big extravaganza 15-20 hour game that is absolutely gorgeous and fun to play. But there's these smaller games that are so much fun that are that don't feel like a trek. And let me go back to saying 15-20 hours, because there are a lot of AAA games that break the 50-hour mark, that go into 100-hour mark, that go into 150-hour mark. Whereas some indie titles do only take 3 hours to play through. You can sit down in one sitting. You can feel accomplished playing it. That are on Xbox Game Pass that you do have to play. You need to play. If you consider yourself, even if you don't consider yourself a gamer, if you're someone that plays games occasionally, there are games out there that you shouldn't pass up. You really should.
Absolutely. And before I get into the list that's available on Game Pass now, it's just AAA titles seem to have a certain aesthetic. They usually go for super hyper ultra realistic. I'm not saying they all look the same, because they don't, but at the same time, it just kind of gets old. You know what I mean? Whereas indie titles, they may not have the resources to make a super ultra hyper realistic game, with a couple exceptions like Ninja Theory, who do an excellent job in that department. But they work with what they have, and they do stuff that's different and that fits the narrative of the story. Like a Genesis Noir, which I have played. It was a game I was gonna review for RDP, but a lot of things were going on. Didn't get a chance to actually talk about it. But it's a music game. There's not really any dialogue about a guy. I don't know how to explain it. It's you follow a guy who just goes to different parts of the universe to save his love, but it's got a jazzy soundtrack to it. There's stuff that happens in the game. I don't know how to explain it. You just have to play it. It's on Game Pass. It doesn't take long. It's a very straightforward story. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful story, and it's just so cool. You and I talked about playing Tunic for the show. It's very much a Link to the Past. And Dark Souls.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got that very difficult platform to it.
Yeah, very high difficulty.
I did want to point this out. So when you sent that tweet, I went through the comment section immediately. And there was one comment in particular that stood out to me, and I'm gonna shout this person out. This is at Inside My Strange, weird name.
Okay.
And so, replying to Xbox Game Pass, they said, should people have to spend at least $120 a year to play indie games? Think about that.
Okay. Your average average indie game is going to cost anywhere between $20 and $30. So right there, let's say conservatively $20. That is what, 6 games?
Yeah, well, let's say give or take 6 games.
Give or take 6 games, and there are hundreds of games on Game Pass.
Right.
Hundreds. So you're getting more than what you pay for already. So yes, it's worth $120 a year for quote unquote indie games.
I would say it would be, and I hope Xbox doesn't take this or Microsoft and run with it, but $240 a year. I mean, there's so much entertainment on there for people to consume. There's so much content on there for people to consume. I guess would be a better way to word it. So, and
you get free stuff all the time on top of the free games. So I'll take it.
So yes, inside my strange, it is. People should spend $120 a year for indie games because they're fantastic.
That is super cheap. That is super cheap still.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I saw that comment, I just chuckled to myself. So what's this list? What list of games do you have?
So I've got Tunic, which I talked about, Genesis Noir, Loot River, Trek to Yomi, Citizen Sleeper, and in about a month we're going to get Escape Academy. All fantastic games that you can check out right now, with exception
That's
of
all
one of them.
released this year, right?
That's all released this year. So
and there's a
brand
backlog of games on there from previous years.
And that's just me kind of like looking quickly. I will say a title that recently came off, which was Haven. So if you didn't get a chance to play Haven, you missed out, son, because that game was beautiful. It was cel shaded. It's about a couple on the run. They're interracially mixed. You don't see a whole lot of those in games, period, which I thought was pretty cool. But it's about their relationship mostly, and it's just super cool. It was awesome, and it was kind of a tearjerker.
Okay, nice. I guess
now you missed it because it's not on Game Pass anymore, so you got to buy it now.
Wait till it's free. Just kidding. But yeah, I definitely have to check that out. That sounds really cool. So I'm surprised. I discussed this with somebody on Twitch the other day about. I read that tweet to them, and everybody in the comments section was just saying it's clickbait. Clickbait for Kotaku to get people to go read their stuff, which is sad that they had to put something out like that in order for people to go read their stuff. I don't know if I agree with that.
I see, and it's funny to me because I read the article. I did read the article. I fell for the bait. I read the article. The only indie game they mentioned was Tunic. They're like,
Citizen
Microsoft
Sleeper is supposed to be a sleeper of a game this year from what
absolutely.
And I haven't started playing it yet, and I think it may be a game we should play.
We should play it. I've started it, but I can't say I finished it. But at the moment, I am enjoying it.
Okay.
And it costs you. I mean, it costs you $120 a year, but it costs you nothing once you're in Game Pass to just start it up.
Yeah.
Most games, most indie titles, you can even stream either on your Xbox, your PC, your in a browser on your Chromebook or whatever. So you have no excuse to at least just boot it up and just see what it's about.
What does Netflix cost you now a year? $200? To watch
like that.
It's
$20
reruns?
a year now. Yeah.
I love Seinfeld, so I can't.
I know what you're saying. Though. You're using trying to use the same argument.
Yeah.
Because that person most likely has Netflix.
Yeah.
It's a great deal. It's just such a good deal.
Yeah.
And if you at home, even if you don't have an Xbox and you have a computer, you can still get Game Pass and take advantage of it.
That's crazy. Yeah. I was talking to a buddy, telling him that we should play games sometimes, and he doesn't have an Xbox, but he has PC, and he can still pick up Game Pass, and we can still play games together.
You can play Halo together, no problem. It's free for both of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Look at me, putting people together. No excuse anymore.
Before we hop off here, I do want to say, great job on the interviews, Carrington. Very great job. We have 2 interviews that just released this week. Actually, 2 interviews in 1 week. One with Connor Rush of Fire Games. Another one with, and I don't know their last names, I'm sorry, Susan and Kathy of Tertiap Studios. Mm-hmm. And they were both really, really good interviews, which I just bought their game, which released today.
It did release today. Very good. I don't have an iOS device to take advantage of it, so you have to let me know how it is.
I will. Yeah, I will be sure to let you know. The day we fought Earth.
The day we fought space.
I'm so tired.
It's all right, bro. It's all right.
The day we fought in space.
Yes, I can tell you, I got to play it at GDEX back in 2019. Us discussing the game, does not do it justice. And once you play it, you'll understand why I had them on the show and why I was promoting it so hard, because it is fantastic.
Listen, hold on. I am, because I butchered the name again. Yeah, so I said the day we fought in space. The day we fought space.
The day we fought space.
Yeah, I'm very tired. It's been a long day at work. But yeah, so I picked up that game. I will let you know how it is on iOS, and I'm excited to dig my fingers into it.
Awesome. Sounds like a plan, and we can review it, or you can review it rather.
Yeah.
I don't have iOS.
Yeah. So make sure, if you are not on our YouTube, go subscribe. K&K Indie Gaming. K&K Indie Gaming Corner. I'm getting slap happy on YouTube.
And thankfully, we also have a link tree, so
Yes.
It's posted everywhere. You can see it in the description of this episode. You have links to our social media, whether it be Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, K&K's gaming. Oh gosh, no, Indie Gaming Corner. It's KK Gaming Indie Corner. Blah. That's a tongue twister.
No.
Gosh. Okay, I'm gonna look at it right now. KK Indie Gaming across all platforms. That's it.
That's
no corner.
Yeah.
KK Indie Gaming across the board, because we made it universal to make it easy to find.
Yeah.
Boom.
You got it. Next episode, you'll nail it. I guarantee it.
I guarantee I will practice it and practice it and practice it, because I've been saying at Real Dudes Pod or podcast for so long. It's just
It's all right.
take me a second. And this is just for Phil. And as always, have a rad day.